we're recording.
Owen,
everybody say something.
Owen, why do you think that she
Not at
has
the same time, though.
Why do you think that she has
Shouldn't we all go around?
Should
Guys,
snacks
oh my god. Shouldn't we go around, like, everyone should speak one at a time so we can hear how everyone sounds around the microphone?
And go get pots and pans, rather. The Radio Play class presents an adaptation of the Columbia Workshop's Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland, a fairy story of the 19th century, a bit of a gossamer flimsy, a fantasy for children.
Alice, a fairy story. People with human beings. Animals that talk like people. Did they mirror people who act like the animals? I do not know. I merely wrote a simple story about a little girl, for a little girl. Half the world has, for 72 years, called it childish nonsense. The other half, a significant social satire. To me, it has always been simply Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Alice, don't fidget so. I beg your pardon, sister, but it is so very dull today. Isn't it tea time yet?
Not quite. We'll go into tea when I finish the chapter I'm reading. Why don't you go and pick some daisies?
Oh, it is so dreadfully hot to pick daisies. Sister, look, down in the grass, a white rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
Sister, he has a waistcoat on, and look, he's taking a watch out of it.
Oh, Alice, what nonsense.
Oh dear, I shall be late.
Sister, did you hear that?
Hear what?
The rabbit, he looked at his watch and then he spoke.
Oh, Alice, your imagination. Alice, come back here. Where are you going?
I've got to see the rabbit again, sister. Oh, dear, he just popped into that hole under the hedge. But it is a very large rabbit hole. Perhaps I could squeeze through. There! I can still see him. He's down at the end. Oh, I must hurry. I must... Oh, I'm falling! I'm falling!
Falling down what seems to be a very deep well.
Either the well was very deep or she fell very slowly, for she had plenty of time to look about her and notice the sides of the well were filled with cupboards and bookshelves.
After such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. Why, I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell off the top of a house.
Which is very likely true.
Down, down, down. Alice became very drowsy. She had almost fallen asleep when...
Oh! Gracious, I've landed. I ought to be hurt, but I don't seem to be. Now, where's the white rabbit? Oh, there he goes!
Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting.
He's turned the corner of the passage. Oh, I mustn't lose him.
But when Alice turned the corner, the rabbit was no longer to be seen. She found herself in a long, low hall with doors all around it, all locked. In the middle was a little three-legged table of solid glass, but nothing on it but a tiny golden key.
Alice tries the key in various doors of the hall, but either the locks are too large or the key is too small. Now she sees a little door about 15 inches high. She tries the little golden key in the lock, and it fits! Alice is opening the door. She is kneeling to look through the passage. It leads to a lovely garden, but she can't even get her head through the doorway.
And even if my head would go through, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think I could, if I only knew how to begin.
Alice is returning to the table now. She's looking for another key, or perhaps a book of rules for shutting people up like telescopes. She doesn't find either, but there is a little bottle there.
Which certainly wasn't here before.
Around the neck of the bottle is a paper label, with the words, "Drink me," beautifully printed on it in large letters.
Drink me. No, I'll look first to see whether it's marked poison.
But the bottle was not marked poison, so Alice ventured to taste it, finding it very nice.
has, in fact, a sort of mixed flavor of cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roast turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast.
She very soon finished it off.
What a curious feeling. I must be shutting up like a telescope.
She is shrinking. She is now only 10 inches high. She's about the size to go through the door into the lovely garden now. She's a little nervous, though, afraid she might shrink too far.
It might end, you know, in my going out altogether, like a candle. I wonder what I should be like then.
Fortunately, nothing more happened, but alas, for poor Alice, she had left the little golden key on the table, and though she could see it quite plainly through the glass, she was now much too small to reach it. Soon her eye fell on a little glass box that was lying under the table. She opened it, and found in it a very small cake, on which the words "Eat me" were beautifully marked in currants.
Well, I'll eat it, and if it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key. And if it makes me grow smaller, I can creep under the door. So either way I'll get into the garden, and I don't care much which happens. Which way, which way?
She's holding her hand on top of her head to feel which way she is growing.
Curiouser and curiouser.
She is so surprised, she quite forgets to speak good English.
Now I'm opening out like the largest telescope there ever was. Goodbye, feet! Ouch!
Her head strikes against the roof of the hall. She is now more than 9 feet high. She takes up the little golden key and hurries off to the garden door.
Poor Alice. It was as much as she could do, lying down on one side to look into the garden with one eye, but to get through the little door was now more hopeless than ever. She sat down and began to cry again.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself, a great big girl like you.
She might well say this.
To go on crying in this way. Stop this moment, I tell you.
But she went on just the same, shedding gallons of tears until there was a large puddle around her, about 4 inches deep and reaching halfway down the hall. After a time, she heard a little pattering of feet in the distance. She hastily dried her eyes as the white rabbit returned, this time splendidly dressed, with a pair of white kid gloves in one hand and a large fan in the other. He came trotting along in a great hurry, muttering to himself as he came.
Oh, the Duchess, oh, won't she be savage if I've kept her waiting?
If you please, sir!
Oh, my ears and whiskers.
Stop! You've dropped your glove and your fan!
Oh, my ears and whiskers. Oh!
And the white rabbit was gone. Alice took up the fan and the gloves, and as the hall was very hot, she started to fan herself.
Gracious, I must be growing small again. I am. Now I'm only 2 feet high. I shall go out altogether. It must be the fan. Oh, that was a narrow escape. If I hadn't dropped that fan, it would have been the end of me. But now I'm small enough to get through the door.
And Alice finds herself up to her chin in salt water, swimming around in the pool of the tears she had wept when she was 9 feet high.
Oh, I wish I hadn't cried so much. I shall be punished for it now, I suppose, by being drowned in my own tears. That will be a queer thing, to be sure. However, everything is queer today. Oh, what a fearful racket! It must be at least a walrus or a hippopotamus. Oh no, I've forgotten how small I've grown. It's only a mouse. But it is bigger than I am. Oh, mouse, do you know the way out of this pool? I am very tired of swimming about here. Oh, mouse! Perhaps it doesn't understand English. I dare say it's a French mouse. Come over with William the Conqueror. Où est me chatte?
The first sentence in Alice's French book. Translation, where is my cat? The mouse doesn't much like that reference in English or in French.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I quite forgot you didn't like cats.
Not like cats? What would you like cats if you were me?
Well, perhaps not, but I do wish I could show you our cat Dinah. She's such a capital one for catching mice.
Squeak! Squeak!
Oh, I do beg your pardon. We won't talk about her anymore if you'd rather not.
We indeed, as we should talk on such a subject. My family always hated cats. Nasty, well, vulgar things. Don't let me hear that name again.
I would indeed, I promise.
Well, very well then. let us go to the shore. I'll tell you my history, and you'll understand why it is that I hate cats.
It was high time to go, for the pool was getting quite crowded with the birds and animals that had fallen into it. There were a duck and a dodo and a lory and an eaglet and several other curious creatures. Alice led the way, and the whole party swam ashore.
They are indeed a queer-looking party as they assemble on the bank. The birds with draggled feathers, the animals with their fur clinging closely to them, and all dripping wet and cross and uncomfortable. The first question, of course, is how to get dry again, and an argument ensues, which the dodo, who seems to be a person of some authority, finally ends.
Quiet, all of you. If you really want to get dry, then the best way is a caucus race.
What is a caucus race?
Why, the only way to explain it is to do it.
And, as you might like to try the thing yourself, some winter day I will tell you how the dodo managed it. First, it marked out a race course, in some sort of a circle.
Though it is said that the exact shape didn't matter.
And then, everyone was placed along the course. Here and there was no 1, 2, 3, and away, but they began running when they liked, and left off when they liked, so that it was not easy to know when the race was over. However, they had been running half an hour or so. The dodo suddenly called out,
The race is over.
But who has won?
How are we to know?
Just a minute.
Oh my.
Let me think. Everybody has won, and all must have prizes.
Prizes? But who is to give the prizes?
Why, she, of course.
Me?
Yes, you.
I want prizes.
Alice had no idea what to do, and in despair, she put her hand in her pocket and pulled out a box of candy,
Lucky the salt water had not got into it.
and handed them around as prizes. There was exactly one piece all around.
But she must have a prize for herself, you know.
Of course. What else have you got in your pocket, little girl?
Only a thimble.
Oh yeah, thimbles! Great.
I have a thimble collection.
I like thimbles.
Hand it over here.
There.
Thank you. We beg your acceptance of this, elegant thimble.
I like thimbles.
And now, while we eat our prizes.
I can't eat mine. It's a thimble.
You're lucky.
Mine's too big. Help, I'm choking.
Here, some of you. Pat his back.
I thank you. Thank you. Oh, there, that's better.
I can't taste mine. It's too small.
I'm sorry. It's the best I could do. Oh, Mouse, you promised, you know.
Promised what?
To tell me your history and why you hate... You know what.
Oh, mine is a long and sad tale. Woe is me.
I can see it's a long tale, oh Mouse, but why is it sad?
You insult me by talking such nonsense.
Oh, I really meant nothing, but you're so easily offended, you know.
I'm afraid. I'm very much afraid that you are a waste of time.
Oh, please come back and tell us your story.
What a pity he won't stay.
I wish our Dinah were here. She'd soon fetch it back.
And who is Dinah, if I might venture to ask the question?
Dinah's our cat, and she's a capital one for catching mice. And, oh, I wish you could see her after the birds. Why, she'd eat a little bird as soon as she'd look at it, and... Oh, I wish I hadn't mentioned Dinah. No one seems to like her down here, and I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, my poor Dinah. I wonder if I shall ever see you anymore. There's no use in crying about it. I shall never get out of here unless I set about growing to my right size again. But the great question is, how?
Suddenly, Alice noticed a large mushroom growing near to her, about the same height as herself, and on top of it, a large blue caterpillar was sitting with his arms folded, quietly smoking a long hookah. The caterpillar took his languid time about noticing Alice.
And who are you?
I hardly know, sir, just at present. At least I knew who I was when I got up this morning.
What do you mean by that? Explain yourself.
I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir, because I'm not myself, you see.
I don't see.
I'm afraid I can't put it more clearly, for I can't understand it myself to begin with, and being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing.
It isn't.
If you change as much as I have today, you'd feel a little queer, too.
Not a bit.
Well, perhaps your feelings are different, but it feels very queer to me.
You? Well, who are you?
I think you ought to tell me who you are first.
Why?
Oh, I'm afraid we're not getting anywhere at all.
Come back here. I have something important to say.
Well, what is it?
Keep your temper.
Is that all?
Yes. Good day to you, my dear.
But, and now, which is which? I guess I'll try the right-hand piece first. Oh, I'm getting smaller so quick! My chin hit my foot! I have to eat some of the left piece right away! It is so hard to get my mouth opened! There! Come, my head's free at last!
As she grew larger, she saw across the top of the mushroom a little house about 4 feet high.
I can never visit that lovely place if I grow to my full size, so I'd better stop here.
She is nibbling a little on the right-hand piece. Now a quick nibble on the left-hand piece. She is now established at 9 inches.
As she approached the house, a fish, dressed in a footman's livery, came out of the woods and rapped loudly on the door. It was opened by another footman in livery, who was really a frog. Alice crept behind a bush to listen as the fish footman presented a great letter nearly as large as himself.
For the Duchess, an invitation for the Queen to play croquet.
From the Queen, an invitation for the Duchess to play croquet.
They both bowed, and the curls of their white wigs got entangled together. Alice laughed so much at this that she had to run back into the woods for fear of their hearing her. And when she peeped out, the fish footman was gone, and the frog footman was sitting on the ground near the door, staring stupidly up to the sky. Alice went up to the door and knocked.
There's no sort of use in knocking. That for 2 reasons. First, because I'm on the same side of the door as you are. And second, because they're making so much noise inside that no one could possibly hear you.
Please then, how am I to get in?
There might be some sense in knocking if we had the door between us. For instance, if you were inside, you might knock, and I might let you out, you know?
But how am I to get in?
I shall sit here till tomorrow, or the next day maybe.
How am I to get in?
Are you to get in at all? That's the first question, you know.
It's really dreadful the way all you creatures argue. It's enough to drive one crazy.
I shall sit here on and off for days and days.
But what have I to do?
Anything you like.
Then I'll go in anyway.
The door leads into a large kitchen. It is full of smoke. The Duchess is sitting on a 3-legged stool, nursing a baby. The cook is stirring a large cauldron of soup, and she throws pepper in by the shakerful. A large cat is laying on the hearth, grinning from ear to ear. He doesn't sneeze. Neither does the cook, but everyone else does.
Please, would you tell me why your cat grins like that?
It's a Cheshire cat, and that's why, pig.
Were you speaking to me?
No, I was speaking to this brat.
Oh.
Take that! And that! And that!
Oh, be careful! What are you throwing pots and pans at the baby for?
That happens every afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Oh, please mind what you're throwing. Cook, be careful! Don't! Oh! Oh, there goes his precious little nose!
Speak
roughly to your little boy. Achoo! Then beat him when he sneezes. He only does it to annoy. Achoo! Because he knows it teases.
Wow! Wow! Wow!
Here, you may nurse it a bit, if you like. Catch!
Oh! Please, I nearly dropped it.
I must go and get ready to play croquet with the queen.
Take that, you toad! Miss her again!
If I don't take this child away with me, they're sure to kill it in a day or two. It would really be committing murder to leave it behind. Don't squeal, my dear. That's not a proper way of expressing yourself. If you're going to turn into a pig, my dear, I'll have nothing to do with you. Mind now. Now what am I to do when I get this creature home? I guess there'll be no taking you home. You'll be happier out there in the woods. Run on. If it had grown up, I would have made a dreadfully ugly child, but it makes a rather handsome pig, I think.
And she began thinking over other children she knew, and who might do very well as pigs, when she was a little more startled to see the Cheshire Cat sitting in the bough of the tree a few yards off.
Hello, Cheshire Puss. Would you please tell me which way I ought to go from here?
That depends a good deal of where you want to get to.
I don't care where.
Oh, then it doesn't matter which way you go.
What sort of people live round here?
In that direction lives a hatter. That direction lives a March hare. Visit either. Both are mad.
But I don't want to go among mad people.
Oh, you can't help that. We're all mad here. I'm mad. You're mad.
How do you know I'm mad?
You must be, or else you wouldn't have come here. Do you play croquet with the queen today?
I should like it very much, but I haven't been invited yet.
You'll see me there.
Well, he's disappeared into thin air. No, here he comes back.
By the by, what became of the baby? I nearly forgot to ask.
It turned into a pig.
I always thought it would.
I wonder if he's disappeared for good now. Well, who shall I go to visit? I've seen hatters before, so I imagine the March hare will be most interesting. And since this is May, it won't be ravening mad. At least, not so mad as it was in March.
Did you say pig or fig?
I said pig.
All right.
And this time it vanished quite slowly, beginning with the end of the tail and ending with a grin, which remained some short time after the rest of it had gone.
The end. In the middle.
Your name is
I forgot my name.
Something.
Credits. I'm Dawn Star Sarahs-Borchelt. I'm the teacher for the class and the announcer.
I'm Sarahs-Borchelt, and I play the first narrator and the cook!
I'm Harrison Homack, and I play the second narrator and the duck.
I'm Ani Verity, and I play Alice.
I'm Celia Verity. I play the sister, the dodo, and the duchess.
I'm Nicholas, and I play the rabbit, the caterpillar, and the frog.
I'm Marley Homack, and I play the eaglet, Lori, baby, and I do the meows for the cat.
I am Owen, and I do the mouse, the cat, and the fish.
I am Robin Borchelt, and I do sound effects.